It started like any other quiet morning. A small-town bus driver, Miss Elaine, was just finishing her last route, coffee in hand, a kind smile for every passenger. She's in her 70s, the kind of woman who still bakes cookies for the kids on her route and waves at every car that passes by. But today, something wasn't right. As she pulled up to a familiar stop, two police officers approached. Their tone was sharp, their questions pushy. They claimed there'd been a report, something vague. But to Elaine, it felt more like intimidation than investigation. She kept calm, respectful, but it didn't stop the situation from escalating. The officers ignored her age, her decades of service, and the fact that she hadn't done a thing wrong. She tried to explain, but they didn't listen. And what they didn't know is who she was related to. You see, Elaine's only son, Marcus, isn't just any soldier. He's a decorated Green Beret sniper, quiet, precise, and one of the most lethal marksmen the military has ever trained. He doesn't show up unless it's serious. But when his mother calls, he comes. What happens next? Let's just say, when you mess with someone's mom, especially his mom, things don't end the way you expect. Stay tuned. This is where the story takes a turn no one saw coming. Marcus hadn't been home in months. Stationed overseas, he lived in the shadows. Missions classified, movements unknown even to most of his closest friends. But when he saw the missed call from his mother and the shaky voicemail she left, something in him shifted. Her voice trembled. She never sounded like that. No details, just that something was wrong and she needed him. That was all it took. Back in town, things were tense. Word about the bus incident had spread quietly. Neighbors were confused. Miss Elaine, harassed? It didn't make sense. She was a pillar in the community. Kind, gentle, never in trouble a day in her life. But the officers hadn't backed down. They claimed it was procedure, but to those watching, it didn't feel right. And still, no one really knew why they'd singled her out in the first place. What the cops didn't realize is that Marcus grew up in this very town. He knew every corner, every shortcut, and most of all, he remembered what justice should feel like. And while he didn't come back looking for trouble, he couldn't ignore what had happened to his mom. Quietly, he started asking questions, looking at footage, talking to old friends in law enforcement. Something wasn't adding up. And the deeper he dug, the darker the truth started to look. Marcus didn't come back in uniform. He kept a low profile, plain clothes, quiet steps, eyes always scanning. He wasn't just looking for answers. He was studying behavior, watching who avoided him and who suddenly acted too friendly. The bus stop where it all went down had no working cameras. Convenient, but a nearby gas station had a security feed. Marcus asked to see the footage. The clerk hesitated, said the cops had already been by. That raised a flag. Meanwhile, Miss Elaine tried to carry on like nothing happened. She kept driving her route, waving like always, but something was different in her eyes. She was shaken. She didn't say much about the incident, not even to Marcus. But he noticed how she looked over her shoulder more now, how her hands trembled a little when she poured her tea. Then came something unexpected. One of the officers involved, a rookie named Daniels, started showing up at odd hours, sitting in his cruiser down the block, sometimes pretending to check his phone, other times just watching. Marcus noticed. He didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, he started digging into Daniel's record. What he found wasn't pretty. 2 complaints, both dismissed, both filed by older citizens. And then there was talk of a new housing project, a redevelopment deal, quiet pressure on longtime residents to leave, Elaine's property, right in the center of it all. Marcus didn't believe in coincidences, not in combat, and definitely not back home. The more he connected the dots, the more it looked like this wasn't just about 2 officers hassling an elderly bus driver. It was bigger. The city council had fast-tracked that new housing development, and quietly, folks who'd lived there for decades were being nudged out. Fines, inspections, noise complaints. Suddenly, Longtime residents like Elaine were seen as in the way. Late one night, Marcus slipped into the city records office. He wasn't breaking in. He still had friends on the inside. One of them, an old high school buddy now working as a clerk, slid him a folder without a word. Inside were property purchase offers, all cash, all made through shell companies. Elaine's address had a red mark next to it, high priority. The rookie cop, Daniels, wasn't working alone. His partner, Officer Green, had deep ties to a local developer. His cousin was the CEO of the firm pushing the project. That same firm had quietly made campaign donations to half the city council, including the one who first greenlit the bus stop incident report. It was a pressure tactic. Make the old woman feel unsafe. Get her to sell. What they didn't plan for was Marcus, watching, listening, gathering proof, and waiting for the exact right moment to strike back, not with violence, but with something far more powerful, the truth. Just when Marcus thought he had a handle on things, something unexpected threw the whole plan off course. One of the officers, Green, the one with the developer cousin, went missing. Not a word in the news, no statement from the department, just gone, quietly, but Marcus heard whispers. A transfer, they said, medical leave, others claimed, but to him, it smelled like a cover-up. Then, that same night, someone broke into Elaine's house. Nothing was taken, no valuables touched. But drawers were left open, papers scattered. Whoever it was didn't want money, they wanted information, or maybe to send a message. Elaine didn't say much, but Marcus could see it in her face. Fear, the kind that cuts deep. He tightened his circle. No more quiet digging. He started reaching out to old military contacts, people who owed him favors, people who could trace untraceable money, fake companies, hidden connections. And that's when the second twist hit. The developer wasn't just pushing this one neighborhood. They had silent bids in 3 other towns. Same pattern, older residents, sudden police pressure, offers way below market. And in each town, the same private security firm popped up on the records. A firm owned by a former contractor. Someone Marcus had crossed paths with overseas. This wasn't just corruption. This was organized, coordinated, and now it was personal. Marcus moved fast. With everything he'd uncovered, fake companies, shady police connections, and that same private security firm showing up again and again, he knew it was time to act. He pulled every string he had left. His military contacts helped him map out the web behind the development scam. Offshore accounts, political payoffs, real estate fraud. It was all there. But he needed one thing to make it stick, proof that connected it all. That came from an unexpected place. Officer Daniels, the rookie. Turns out, he'd been in over his head from the start. He didn't know how deep it went until Green disappeared. And when someone left an unmarked envelope on his windshield, a photo of him at home, a warning, he cracked. Daniels called Marcus, shaking, desperate. They met in secret. What Daniels gave him was gold, a recording of a meeting between Green and the developer's rep, where they discussed targeting Elaine and others who refused to play ball. With that, Marcus went public. He handed everything to a trusted journalist, someone who had been chasing corruption stories for years. The expose exploded. News outlets picked it up. Investigations were launched. The developer was arrested. Members of the council resigned. And Elaine, she kept her home. The harassment stopped. But just as things seemed settled, Marcus got one last message. A burner phone left on his porch. No number, just one photo, him, taken from a distance that same morning. Someone else was still watching.